Hey guys, JW. Just listening to the local talk show, and the subject they're talking about right now is how the younger generation, I don't know, is it Generation Z or whatever? I'm sorry, I'm not up on the generation thing. Once, after the boomers, it kind of stopped the generation thing for me. I don't know why. I just really don't follow. I think it's this Generation X and Generation Z Gen. I honestly know. I'm old, you know. You got to cut me some slack. But anyway, the kids that really started taking out the college loans to pay their way through college. See, when I was a kid, I'm talking college. We went to college back in the mid '60s, and you didn't need to take a loan. I think state schools were like $200 a year, and so you got a job in the summer, and pretty much you'd earn enough for sure to pay your. Even back then we were making small money, maybe a $1.50 an hour, but you could make enough to pay for your tuition. And so you didn't have to take loans, and I have mixed feelings, when I hear this particular generation. I guess they're in their 40s now. I should ask my daughter. She's probably a member of that generation. She'll know, but maybe someone can mention it in the comments. But yeah, so and everyone from my generation is getting on the call and saying, hey, take some responsibility. You take out a loan, you have to pay it. But then I got to thinking, there's always two sides to an argument, and I do kind of feel bad for them because I don't know when it occurred exactly, but at some point, maybe the 80s, the universities just started, charging outrageous amounts of money. I went to Boston University, and I went nights, and it's one of the top schools in terms of. It's considered a very top educational school, but in terms of what they charge, it's very expensive. And even back then, it was pretty expensive for the times. But I think the highest I ever paid per course in the evenings, I don't know, I want to say it was like $100, $110 or something a course. So, if you took 5 courses a semester, it was still only, $1,000 a year or something, And now I think BU is 50. That doesn't count your food and lodging either. So I can't imagine kids who stay in dorms plus the tuitions. They would probably have to take out a loan of, I'm guessing, close to $100,000 a year, right? And maybe they get some grants. I think most people can get grants, especially if you're able to get in a good school. You get educational grants. So let's say they're in Hawk for, I don't know, 60. And so when you get out of school, you got loans before you start your first job. You have loans to pay off of, $250,000 roughly. So, that's a tough nut. In some places you could get a mortgage on a nice house in some places. Not up where I live, you have to double that, but you could get, you get a house for that and pay the mortgage. Instead, you're paying for a student loan. And I often think when I walk into, a coffee shop, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, one of those places where these young kids work, especially Starbucks, a lot of kids from top schools, Columbia, BC, BU, Boston College, Boston University, and they're working as baristas. So I'm thinking, they're just till they find something better. I'll tell you, 8 years later, since I started going, it's more than that since I've been going to Starbucks, but I've seen the same young people. They're not young anymore. When they started working there, they were 20, 21, 22. Now they're in their 30s, and what I can tell, if they had a good job, they wouldn't be. They probably wouldn't be baristering. I don't know. Maybe you make good money there. I don't know, but I don't think it's warrants paying $250,000 tuition to get a job as a barista in Starbucks. I'm sure there are kids who work there who have zero college education. So But again, I do feel bad for them because they are really the first generation to be saddled with those kinds of loans. And I guess during COVID, the government thought they were doing them a favor by, we'll start, you don't have to pay during COVID. But you're going to have to pay at some point. Now they hit them back with it and they're all upset. And I see, I don't like getting into politics on my videos, but I know the government likes to get people in debt because then you're dependent on them. And if you have stuff, if you're in debt to the government and you don't pay your student loans, they'll come after you and they'll repossess your car. Most of these kids don't have homes, but if you have stuff, they'll take your stuff. They will repossess it. They'll get their money back. You'll never, and it goes on your credit report. And so it's a tough break for a lot of kids. And so I can see both sides of the argument. I see the old timers are saying, when I take a loan, I'm responsible for it and I pay it back. And then I see the other generation saying, yeah, but you wouldn't have saddled with the kind of loans we have been. And they're right. Both sides are right. When you take a loan out, you made a promise to pay it back, and that's what you're supposed to do. But I can see the argument for them being saddled with this kind of debt. And oftentimes, kids are irresponsible, all right? They take a college loan. Maybe they need to borrow $30,000 a year to cover their college expenses. So they'll take the limit. They'll say, if they'll give me 50, I'll take the 50 and I'll go on a trip or, buy a car or, and I know a lot of kids who did it. My nephew did it. So, when you're young, you don't think of the repercussions. You don't think of the payback day. So, again, I see both sides of the argument and that's about it. Anyway, I got to head out across the kids and talk to you guys soon. Take care.